Do atheists make mistakes? Well, sure, of course, everybody does, but do we make mistakes just because we happen to be atheists? Well, here's a tiny little channel that may or may not even exist by the time you see this, but apparently he thinks we do. And I'd love to see him prove it, because good luck on that. So today we're going to start on a series of videos from a tiny little channel called Inspector Gadfly. Now, I don't know if this is a good sign or not, but immediately after writing this video and downloading all the others, I think he started to delete them after I posted some criticism on this video. So who knows what that means? Maybe it'll come back later. I don't know. Anyway, let's get down to the videos and see what he thinks the 3 places that atheists go wrong are. Because this ought to be good.
The 3 biggest mistakes that atheists make are these. 1. Biting off more than they can chew. 2. Not researching a culture. And 3. Not understanding the meaning of words.
And we're going to get to all 3 of those in the coming weeks because, sorry, I don't think that any of those are at all accurate. Now, I'm going to let him have his say, and I am absolutely not intending to put any words in his mouth because I don't do that. That's kind of the religious thing. I don't do that. But my experience with videos like this has always been, clearly, these people have never talked to actual rational atheists, period. Because the religious, and I have no idea if this guy is religious, although the beginning of the video seems to suggest that he is, but I don't know. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. It's okay. But they're really not good at actually asking real atheists what we happen to think. They're really good at making it all up. They're really good at coming up with straw men. They're really good at pretending that they know what we think. But they're not very good at coming to realistic conclusions based on demonstrable interactions, and that's kind of a problem. Now, I could be completely wrong, and I'm willing to admit that, so let's let him talk and see where this winds up.
Stick around to the end to hear the 4th one, especially if you say, I am an ex-Christian. There are 4 more videos exploring these mistakes in depth.
And we're going to do all of them because I am an ex-Christian. I don't care what kind of bald rationalizations that the religious can come up with. They're just nonsense. There are, or at least there were, pictures of me singing in the choir, getting confirmed, just sitting around reading the Bible, etc. I'm not sure where they are at the moment, probably in some album somewhere at my mother's house. I don't know. But that was at least 40 years ago, and they absolutely did exist, at least once upon a time. Of course, this is just an excuse to trot out the no true Christian fallacy, where they declare arbitrarily and with no evidence that anyone who isn't still a Christian, they couldn't have ever been a Christian. But of course, that's all just bullshit. It just proves what I was saying before.
This video is for thinkers. If you are looking for something to reinforce treasured, but probably wrong beliefs, you will not find it.
So, it's not for Christians then, because I've never met a single theist of any stripe at all who actually cared if their beliefs were true, not in any demonstrably, verifiably, evidence-based way, not if they continued on with those beliefs thereafter. Religion is a wholly emotional proposition, maintained for comfort and not intellectual merit. I certainly can't say that applies to everyone because that would be a straw man. Who knows? There might be people out there I've never seen. I can't say that. I can only say that over my very long life, I have never, ever encountered a single theist who ever really gave a damn about the facts when it came to their own faith. And I'd really love to see if somebody could prove me wrong.
Back to the mistakes. They are interrelated. Firstly, we need to define one word, atheist. I mean a godless person, one who denies the existence of a supreme, intelligent being to whom moral obligation is due.
In other words, you don't have the slightest idea what the hell you're talking about. Clearly, this is just another person who's never really spoken to an atheist, as if that's any kind of a surprise. If he can't even get through the intro without making such a monumental blunder, how in the world are we supposed to think that he's going to make any sense when he actually gets to his points? But I suspect that he doesn't care. It's all about fifis and not facts. It's all about reinforcing your own religious faith and not in demonstrating that any of the things that come out of his mouth are actually so. Yeah, that just makes it another Thursday, right? What else is new?
Visit edamonline.com. Check the description below.
Yep, that particular dictionary says that. So what? The Google Dictionary says disbelief or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. Merriam-Webster says a lack of belief or a strong disbelief in the existence of a god or any gods. The Oxford Dictionary defines it as lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. So our theist here is still wrong. They cherry-picked a definition out of a dictionary that they agreed with, and they're counting on nobody else challenging it. But here's the thing. You don't get to define people. If you really want to know what atheists think, and I'm sure you really don't, but if you did, the only thing that you can do rationally is go out and ask individual atheists what position they personally take. That's almost certainly not the definition that you're going to receive, so you're just arguing a straw man. And that's not exactly a surprise, is it?
Secondly, we are talking about Christianity exclusively.
Then you're even more wrong because atheists, they reject all gods, not just yours. We don't see any evidence for any of them whatsoever, whether you're talking about Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Norse religions, Scientology, if that even qualifies, etc. And this is exactly how we can tell that you're just preaching to the choir. It is clearly not an intellectual attempt to address the demonstrable facts. Why? Because they just don't care.
Thirdly and finally, we will be looking at the Bible. After all, Christianity is a revealed religion, and it is revealed in the Bible.
Really? Do tell. Be prepared to present evidence to support your assertions, because this is just blind faith, not fact. It's embarrassing when people just spout off about this nonsense as though it had already been demonstrated in some way, because it hasn't been, not remotely. And that just shows what a complete dumbass this guy is, because he's presenting this as if it's fact when he wouldn't know facts if they came up and bit him on the ass. This is very, very commonplace for the religious if you think about it. This isn't about truth. They are absolutely allergic to truth. They don't care about truth at all. They just want to feel good, and that's positively childish.
Christians are uptight about the Bible. It is much more than an ancient book written by ancient men.
And nothing more so far as we can tell. Because for all of the empty claims that the religious spout about the Bible and other ancient texts, they just don't stand up to any kind of critical scrutiny. And that ought to make the religious uptight if they actually cared if the foundation of their beliefs was demonstrably true, but of course they don't. They just don't. Effectively, all they're doing is saying, here's a book that I really like, so I'm going to believe it's true because it makes me happy. Well, that doesn't actually mean anything. All religions have books that make them happy. Just because you were born into a culture where Christianity was the norm and dominant religious belief, that doesn't make it true. It doesn't make any of them true. It just makes you a complete laughingstock. So do us all a favor and knock it off.
However, it is, indeed, an ancient book written by ancient men. If you search YouTube, you might say that believing in God is fluff, something of little substance or consequence. However, if there is a being to whom moral obligation is due, then atheism might be the worst ism there is,
Yeah, if you could prove it. Now, when do you think you're going to get to that? Because whether you like it or not, I don't buy it. Until you can prove, with objectively demonstrable, verifiable evidence, that the beliefs that you hold dear are actually true in the real world, you are no better than a child with an imaginary friend. Except most kids eventually grow up and figure that out. And that's not so with the religious. These are just children living in adult bodies, and that's not something which anyone should be proud of. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be embarrassed. You're just being an idiot.
You probably know what I mean by biting off more than you can chew.
No, that would actually be you. You haven't even made a good faith attempt to prove that anything that you believe actually makes any kind of rational sense, that can be objectively demonstrated, that it's even close to being true. Because, of course, the religious just don't care. Fifis and faith, two stupid things that invariably go together. There's something really, really wrong with these people. Seek help.
Start with, two individuals, Adam and Eve, cannot possibly account for today's diversity. No time to think. People just do not live that long. I.e., no Methuselah. Gotta keep moving. No evidence of a global flood. No one can predict the future. No one can rise from the dead. Keep moving. Should we keep the Sabbath forever?
You know, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. All of those are reasons to reject the Bible as valid or true, yet you people still believe. Why is that? Now, I'm sure he'll come up with some kind of an excuse because, as I said, he doesn't really give a damn. He just needs a way to baldly rationalize why these emotionally comforting things must be true because it strokes his immature ego, but that's not something about which he ought to be proud. It's what makes these people a complete laughingstock, and it's why we spend a lot of time around here laughing at them. Just because you desperately want it to be true, that doesn't make it true. Please try to do better.
The Bible says so.
And there you go. It's true because he wants it to be true. His book says so. Yet, if you look at other books, they all say other things, and he's not willing for them to be magically and automatically right, is he? Because they're not saying what he wants. They're not saying what makes him feel special. And this is pure confirmation bias, and therefore, it's utterly stupid, but, what do you expect? It's religion. What can you do?
Even today? No, the Bible says so. If an atheist listens to the loudest Christians, they will believe that all Christians believe that the ancient Jews could not believe in a solid sky. For example, if the word forever means the same thing in every culture, the Bible would have a glaring error. Atheists found the error, but they never noticed the egg on their faces.
Really? Because the ancient Jews did in fact believe in a flat earth. There is no archaeological or anthropological evidence that that wasn't the case. You just have to read your stupid book to see all of the evidence you need. From Genesis to Revelation, the message is very, very clear. The flat earth is what they believed. Now, that does make Christianity look bad, at least for the Christians who don't also believe in a flat earth. And there are a lot of those out there too, so, what can you do? But they have to desperately try to dance around it to minimize the damage, trying to redefine reality when it gets in the way of their religious fantasies, but it just doesn't work when you actually think about it. The Bible is a book of ancient, ignorant people, and every part of it proves conclusively that that part is true. It's one of the few parts that's true, but that part definitely is. Now, come on back when you have some actual evidence that you're right about the things that you believe. Not just bald assertions, not just empty claims, things that you can actually demonstrate are so in objective reality. Come back when you can prove that what you wish were true actually is.
Ex-Christians say the same thing over and over again. They mustered up the courage to walk away from the faith when they were convinced that there is no hell other than war or a woman's fury. If you search YouTube for the 3 biggest mistakes that atheists make, you will notice that there is little agreement. The next video is on biting off more than they can chew.
So if YouTube can't agree on what mistakes atheists make, mostly because I'm not seeing any independent evidence that we're universally guilty of any mistakes at all, but what makes you think that your list is going to fare any better? The fact that this video is hardly even coherent says a lot about the state of mind of the person who made it. And if you look at a lot of these crazy videos, not just his, but most of them, you'll see one common thread running throughout. These people have some problems. They are not people who have the slightest clue how to think rationally, critically, or with evidence of forethought. And that puts them right into the same category as conspiracy theorists and wackaloons. These are people who are not living in the same reality as the rest of us, and they're somehow, for some reason, I don't know why, but they're proud of that. How pathetic is that? Now, I don't have any hope that his next couple of videos are going to make any kind of sense whatsoever. I mean, not one bit, in fact. This is the kind of thing that would likely, once upon a time, have ended up in my shallow end of the gene pool playlist. But it's not that I'm trying to make this guy look bad. He's doing that just fine on his own. It's just showing how bad you can get when you take this religious nonsense seriously, when you allow your book to do your thinking for you instead of saying, how do I know this book is actually true? Because they don't give a damn. And if you notice, there was nothing here clearly defined as a fourth point, which he promised at the beginning. And that's not really a surprise either. It's kind of sad that he can't remember things for longer than 3 minutes, but it's really not a surprise. Maybe, just maybe, he ought to try to do better. Maybe, just maybe, he needs to seek out some psychological help, because I'm kind of leaning toward the latter. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments.
Bum